Good evening and welcome to the February 3rd meeting of Troy City Council. Please silence your electronic devices for the duration of the meeting. We'll begin with the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mr. Brock Heath. Please stand.
Okay, we'll pray. God, thank you for all the blessings and favors you put in our life. God, thank you for allowing us to meet in a free country. God, thank you for watching over our warriors overseas, allow them to overcome their enemies. God, thank you for all the different things you're putting in our life to allow us to move forward in success and victory in all areas of our life. We give all glory to you. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Tremblay.
Here.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes, here.
Mr. Heath.
Here.
Mrs. Snee. Here. Mr. Kendall.
Here.
Mrs. Oda.
Here.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
Mr. Twist.
Here.
Mr. Swazer.
Here.
All members of council are present.
Tonight it is my pleasure to welcome State Representative Dr. Richard Adams, who's with us to make a presentation this evening. Dr. Adams?
Thank you very much, President Baker. If the mayor would join me, I have a proclamation. Actually, it's a resolution of commendation adopted by the Ohio House of Representatives. And Mr. Mayor, on behalf of council, I'd like to present this to you. Before doing so, I want to share the content of this, since it'll be spread upon the minutes of the Ohio House of Representatives. It indicates under the sponsorship of Representative Richard Adams, House District 80, on behalf of the members of the House of Representatives, 130th General Assembly, we're pleased to congratulate the City of Troy on the 200th anniversary of its incorporation. Over the past 2 centuries, the City of Troy has become known for residents' cooperation, integrity, and willingness to work. Exemplary qualities that are still manifested by the citizens today. The city has enjoyed the benefits of a generous and civic-minded population, and those who currently make Troy their home take great pride in their community and its rich heritage. Their efforts have certainly made the area a pleasant and friendly place in which to live and work. America is only as strong as its individual communities, which are unique and which make a significant contribution to the culture of our state and nation. The bicentennial anniversary of the City of Troy offers its citizens the opportunity to share their memories and experiences and to reflect on the benefits of life in their close-knit community. For they have built on the best traditions of the past to ensure a future filled with hope and promise. Thus, with sincere pleasure, we pay tribute to the City of Troy on its 200th anniversary of its incorporation and extend best wishes for peace and prosperity in the years to come. Signed for the Ohio House of Representatives by the Speaker, William Batchelder, and myself as your state representative. Please accept this with our congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to turn that around for a picture.
I'll hold it up high so everybody can see. We'll make sure everybody gets a chance to see this. On behalf of all the citizens of Troy, Ohio, our bicentennial committee, and this tremendous council behind you,
Yes.
we take great pride in what you have presented to us, and we hope we're still in business in 200 more years.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm just wondering
I
if
don't
we'll be
think
there.
I don't think we'll be there. But, so thank you very much.
Okay, good to be
Thank
with you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, President
Thank you
Baker.
very much. Mrs. Knight, please read a summary of the minutes of the January 21st meeting of Troy City Council.
Minutes of council, January 21, 2014. Committee reports, Building, Streets, and Sidewalks Committee recommended legislation be prepared authorizing bidding the lease for the property known as Barn in the Park. Committee recommended council approve a resolution of support related to the owner Staunton Commons 2 submitting an application for tax credits. Community and Economic Development Committee recommended that council approve a loan in the amount of $470,000 to RNE LLC. Finance Committee recommended that legislation be prepared approving a request to subordinate a loan for Troy Business Park LTD. Law and Ordinance Committee reported regarding the notice of a new D5 liquor permit. Recreation and Parks Committee recommended that legislation be prepared authorizing an agreement regarding the Troy Strawberry Festival, including that it would be held on the levee area and downtown. Safety and Health Committee provided a report regarding a resolution of support for the supporting efforts in the Miami Valley to encourage regional sustainability. There was a majority recommendation recommending legislation be approved and a minority recommendation that the legislation not be approved. Streets and Sidewalks Committee recommended legislation be prepared authorizing resolution of necessity Phase 8 of sidewalk program. Utilities Committee recommended legislation be prepared authorizing bidding for the water line replacement projects. Resolution number R4 2014, loan for R&E LLC, first reading and adopted. Resolution number R5 2014, bid for the lease agreement for the barn in the park, first reading and adopted. Resolution number R6 2014, advertised for water line projects, 4 of them, first reading and adopted. Resolution number R7 2014, resolution of necessity Phase 8 of sidewalk program, first reading and adopted. Resolution number 8 2014, supporting rehabilitation of Staunton Commons 2, first reading and adopted. Resolution number R9 2014, supporting efforts in the Miami Valley to encourage regional sustainability, was given first reading. Ordinance number 05 2014, subordinating a mortgage lien for Troy Business Park LTD, first reading and adopted. Ordinance number 06 2014, authorizing agreement related to the Troy Strawberry Festival, first reading. Following various comments, council adjourned at 6:14 p.m.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Clark and seconded by Mr. Phillips to approve the minutes. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Swazer?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
We'll begin committee reports tonight with the Safety and Health Committee and Chairperson Robin Oda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On January 29th, this committee held a third meeting to discuss supporting efforts in the Miami Valley to encourage regional sustainability. We considered a redrafted resolution of support in this regard and recognized that the redrafted resolution does remove some of the wording that was of concern. As indicated in the detailed report, we again discussed that the goals stated within the redrafted legislation are reflective of the region and not incumbent upon Troy, and we understand that some goals are already the practice of the city. It was also discussed that there are no punitive aspects for not carrying out the goals of the resolution. Now, do I read the majority report, or does somebody else need to read that?
Which one was that? You have to let us know who signed that one.
Al, would you read the majority
Who
report?
signed the one you just read?
That's the general.
Oh,
That's the general,
That's the
general
general.
report, okay.
but I was told I shouldn't read the
Okay,
majority.
then Mr. Clark can read the
Yeah.
majority report.
And I'll read the majority recommendation. The majority recommendation, the undersigned committee members support the concept of the regional sustainability and the Dayton Regional Green 3 efforts, and we support amending Resolution R9 2014 to read as provided in the language of the attached redrafted amended resolution, with the understanding that the resolution of support does not constitute a commitment of the city to implement goals or to any cost that there are certain elements of such initiative now being done by the City of Troy, and there are no punitive aspects of such resolution. The undersigned recommend that current Resolution R9, 2014 be amended to read as attached to this report. If council amends the resolution, we understand it cannot be voted on at the same meeting at which it is amended. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Heath and myself, as the majority recommendation.
The minority recommendation, while I am appreciative of the attempts the city has made to simplify this regional green initiative, my personal opinion is that it is overreaching and heavy-handed and approaches crossing a legislative line that we as a city do not want to cross. I am supportive of the current efforts by the citizens and businesses in the city of Troy towards sustainability and recycling and will continue to be so. However, I do not support council approval of this resolution. Therefore, the undersigned committee chair recommends that neither the current R9 2014 nor the amended version as redrafted and attached to this report be approved by council. Respectfully submitted, myself, Robin Oda, as chair.
Do any council members have any questions on the report? Thank you, Mr. Clark and Mrs. Oda. The next report is from the Utilities Committee and Chairman, Mr. Doug Tremblay.
Thank you, Madam President. The Utilities Committee met on January 29th of 2014 about an agreement for electrical power aggregation opt-out program. Committee members Clark and Twist met on January 29th to consider recommending an agreement with First Energy Solutions Corporation to provide electrical power generation to Troy households and small commercial businesses. In November 2011, the electors of Troy voted authorizing the City of Troy to have the authority to aggregate the electrical loads in the city under a governmental opt-out program related to residential and certain commercial business users. Since that time, the city has followed the prescribed process to solicit proposals from electric providers in Ohio. The history of that process is discussed below in the detailed report. City staff and the city's consultant have recommended that the proposal from First Energy Solutions Corp. Is the most competitive when compared with the current DP&L rate structure for electric generation and would save qualifying customers approximately 24% for the electrical generation portion of their electric bill. We note that DP&L will continue to be the electric utility distributing the power, and the customers will continue to only receive a bill from that company, which would reflect the generation reduction rate of First Energy Solution, unless the customers opt out of the First Energy Solutions Corp. Agreement. It is the recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to enter into a 3-year governmental opt-out agreement with First Energy Solutions Corporation of Akron, Ohio, to provide electric power generation to Troy households and small commercial businesses, so that savings provided under the agreement with First Energy Solutions Corporation can be available with the April billing cycle. We support emergency legislation. This is respectfully submitted by Mr. Clark, Mr. Twist, and myself as chair.
Are there any questions from council on this report? Okay. Thank you. We'll now open the meeting to citizen comments. There is a 2-minute time limit at this point in the meeting, and Mr. Livingston is our timekeeper. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments related to the agenda items this evening? If so, please come to the microphone and state your name and address before addressing council.
Lester Connor, 1210 South Clay Street, Troy, Ohio. On this energy thing, am I to understand that all the citizens that opt to go into it will get a 24% discount?
All citizens will be in it unless they opt out.
Well, who's going to get the 24%? Only the city, not the
you will-
citizens?
Each customer, meaning in your case you, will get the savings on the electrical generation part of your bill, not the distribution or maintenance of the lines and so forth.
Okay, what is meant by those who qualify?
Well, there'll be some businesses that have too large of a usage of electricity, and they will not be permitted into this system. But frankly, those people probably already have bargained with electrical generators themselves.
Okay. And then I was wondering on this, I guess I can still talk about it, on the loans. That was on the issues there tonight.
Yes?
Where's this money coming from? I mean, you seem to, you want to reappropriate the funds. What were we taking it out of?
Mr. Titterington wants to address that. Mr. Titterington, you want to?
Sure, I'm assuming you're talking about the reappropriation
Right,
rights on tonight?
right.
Those are funds that are not general fund money. Those originated through federal CDBG money that's part of our revolving loan programs.
Okay, I mean, it's not going to be like anything from money from the license plate fee or stormwater or,
It is not.
okay. And another thing on the Strawberry Festival. By looking at the way I see it, by separating up the levee in downtown, a lot of the older people aren't going to be able to go to both places, so somebody's going to lose money. It's just too far for the older people to walk, maneuver around to go to both places. And I know the last time we had it downtown, it was in the paper that Mr. Titherton said it was too costly for electricity. What has changed there now, or is this because of the new deal that we're going to make with the electric company that we can now afford it?
Mr. Titterington?
I'm not sure I recall exactly what you're referring to. Electric and utility, water utility was a concern, but with the way that they're proposing to use the site, it's accessible. Perhaps what you're talking about is the sunk cost that we have from the electrical upgrades as well as the utility upgrades we made to the levee. And that's why one of the conditions of locating or spreading out or expanding, I guess, the festival into the downtown is that there continue to be activities on the levee as well.
Well, I'm only going by, when I say that, I'm in reference to the article that was in the paper after the Strawberry Festival. Your comment was to it that it was too costly for the city for electricity downtown.
I don't recall that being part of the analysis. The only electrical considerations we had was the investment that the city and the festival made probably over 7 years ago in upgrades to the levee, which included significant upgrades to the electrical system on the levee.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members and staff. My name is Bradley Berenger, and I'm from Piqua, Ohio. And I come to you tonight as someone who, for many years, has attended the Troy Strawberry Festival. I remember 38 years ago when a gentleman by the name of Steve Hamilton started this festival. He wanted to put it downtown. And as many of you probably will remember, the businesses at the time fought it because they said it would bring harm to their businesses. And we fast forward 38 years later, and here we are again facing the same situation. Now, Mr. Titterington made the comment, and I believe Ms. Dorston has made the comment several times, that they would not move off the levee due to the extensive renovations that were made to the levee several years ago with the upgrade of electrical and facilities on the levee. My question for this council is, why now? Why, after all these years, are we going to give up the tradition of having this festival on the levee? My concern is for the parade. I am a big fan of the Strawberry Festival parade itself. Marched in it several times, went to it several times. I'd just like to see us keep the tradition alive of having the Strawberry Festival on the levee and have our parade on Saturday morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hi, my name is Pat Keaty. I live in 1594 Lakeshore Drive here in Troy, Ohio. I'm actually a member of the Strawberry Festival Committee and currently the chair of the Troy Area Chamber of Commerce. And I just wanted to come and first thank you for considering this proposal that we have with regard to the expansion of the festival. I want to share with you, my wife and I just made a decision that I'm going to retire April 1st. We did not spend near as much time on that decision as has been spent on this consideration with regard to the festival. But I want to say, because it is a matter of great concern to the members of the Strawberry Festival Committee, all the parties who are involved. And the idea of expanding the festival, not moving it, but expanding the festival, I think a couple of points, at least to me personally, were very important. First is accessibility. There is no question that having an expanded festival provides more accessibility for people who might have mobility issues, some of our seniors, et cetera. We heard that comment several times. I also think that the clubs and orgs have sort of weighed in about how much they appreciated the opportunity to have an expanded festival with a broader location, taking advantage of all the assets that the city has to support the clubs and orgs. So I guess my final comment would be that I don't necessarily, having participated in numerous conversations, view this as much of a change as I do progress. We just had a note commemorating and honoring the 200-year celebration, the bicentennial for this great community. And I think a lot of that 200 years has been based on progress. And I view this, again, not just as a change to the festival, but as progress and expansion. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Karen Manovich, Troy Main Street, 405 Southwest Public Square, Suite 232. I'm here today as a representative of the downtown retailers and restaurants, and I'd like to thank you for considering the proposed ordinance before you and to urge you to support it, especially at this reading, so there's time for everybody involved to prepare to have the most successful, well-organized festival possible. At your direction, I did survey the businesses 2 years ago after the Downtown Festival, and there was overriding support among the downtown restaurants and retailers for the festival to be in the downtown streets. And I look forward to seeing it down there. I hope you'll support it, and I think everybody can be happy here, the nonprofits, the residents, and the businesses. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
My name's Neil Webster. I'm representative of the Troy Senior Citizens. I'm the president of the organization and the trustee board. Mr. Mayor, Madam President, members of council, I know this Strawberry Festival is quite an issue with everybody. I'm not here to stop it or to try to stop it. I'm here to just ask for them to consider a few more things before they say yes. The parade, for one thing, we have a 100-year-old man who is going to put in the parade. He's going to be the king of our club. And you want to show a 100-year-old man off. He does great. He's there every week, plays cards, sharp thinking. We'd also like to consider possibly running the buses through our parking lot to drop people off or on, up on the other side of the bridge. It's an ideal place to give us some foot traffic. I don't have any squawks about change. I remember for 21 years I've been up on that levee with the Lions Club. Mud every year. Now I'm in a different position. I'm in an area that is a building and we can't move it. People come in here to cool off and they enjoy our strawberry shortcakes. We ask you to consider these things for our club, and thank you for the job that you do. Thank you very much for hearing.
Thank you.
My name is Kathy McIntosh. I live at 1323 Surrey Road. I have sent all of you an email again that the Strawberry Festival did have a meeting for the clubs and orgs last week. and they were able to alleviate some of the fears, but there's still a lot of donuts to move across the river. I'm not terribly excited about that part, but that's okay. But I'm standing here tonight to ask you that you also consider in this possibly blocking off part of the Market Street Bridge. I'm concerned that the foot traffic that we are going to get over to the levee might not travel from downtown to the levee if that little sidewalk is heavily trafficked. As soon as they see that, I think they'll just turn around and go back downtown. So I'm a little concerned about that. My proposal would be to block off 2 lanes of traffic and use the west sidewalk and use it as maybe everybody who's traveling north goes on the west sidewalk, everybody who's traveling south goes on the first lane of traffic that would be blocked off for foot traffic. So we have a north lane and a south lane. And then the second lane of traffic would be just a buffer between the real traffic and the foot traffic. And it could also be used for emergency vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. So that would be my proposal to you, or ask you to consider possibly blocking off part of Market Street Bridge so that at least we can hopefully get some foot traffic over to the other side. And if you start to think about strollers and wheelchairs going on that sidewalk at the same time, while it is a little bit wider than the old Adam Street Bridge, it's not that much wider. Trust me, I've walked across there with tubas lots of times. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Patty Rose from 2055 Woodstock Court here in Troy. I would like to thank all of you for all your consideration in this. I know there's been a lot of back and forth about it, but as a business owner of several businesses downtown Troy, and having moved here in 2004, I obviously did not participate in 38 years of parade, but I will say I've heard so many folks talk about the benefits with mobility and the benefits to the nonprofits and all the additional dollars they made as a result of it being on the Main Street 2 years ago. Plus the businesses, of course, made a lot more money. We were able to showcase Troy as a community a little bit more, because out on the levee, that's lovely and it's on the levee, but you're really not seeing the downtown. But the one thing I haven't heard anyone talk about that I noticed kind of as a newcomer, when I moved here, I was told, oh no, that's Strawberry Festival weekend. The locals all go away. It's all the people from out of town that come to town. And the one time we had the Strawberry Festival downtown Main Street, so many locals came. I heard it. I walk the streets. I've got businesses all over town, and I'm telling you, everyone had to say that it was wonderful, and if they could keep it downtown, our town would appreciate our very festival. So I would hope that you all consider that too in your decision-making process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tamara Baynard Ganger, Troy Senior Citizen Center, 134 North Market Street, Troy. It's the center's address. I have spoken with the Strawberry Festival people, and the one thing, if it does move downtown, that I'm very concerned with is proper signage to let the festival goers downtown know that we're across the river. That is one of my biggest concerns I have. That, and as like what Kathy, Mrs. McIntosh said about the traffic getting over there to the senior center too. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think we'll move on to resolutions then and ask Mrs. Knight to read Resolution R9, 2014.
Resolution number R9, 2014, resolution supporting efforts in the Miami Valley to encourage regional sustainability and the Dayton Regional Green Initiative. This is the second reading.
Is there any discussion from council on the resolution?
Move for suspension.
Second.
Are we still open for some discussion here? Prior to the vote?
It's been moved and seconded. Law Director, can they still discuss at this point?
They haven't have to amend it.
I believe there's no discussion on whether to suspend the rules.
Okay. It's
You
been
could,
moved.
someone could withdraw their motion and withdraw their second, if you wanted to do that.
Madam President, if Mr. Phillips wants to discuss it, I'm happy to withdraw my motion.
Okay. Motion's withdrawn.
Well, at this point, I would actually just like to amend the resolution R9 to come into compliance with the committee meeting of the 29th of this month as the reworded version, if you will, without the attachments of Green America and the other items.
Okay. And that's a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Second that.
It's been moved by Mr. Phillips and seconded by Mr. Schweizer to amend the resolution in accordance with the earlier committee report and discussion. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
That would be then to amend it to be replaced with the redrafted resolution R9 2014 that was attached to the committee report of the Safety and Health Committee.
Yes.
Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Mrs. Sneed? Yes. Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
No.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Swayzer?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the resolution is amended.
This resolution then will go to,
I would now need to read the new title of the amended resolution.
please proceed.
Okay. And distribute copies. Resolution number R9 2014, an amended resolution supporting efforts in the Miami Valley to encourage regional sustainability. This is the second reading of the resolution.
Okay, this resolution will then go to another reading. Mrs. Knight, please read Resolution R10, 2014.
Resolution number R10 2014, resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to enter into a governmental opt-out electric power aggregation agreement with First Energy Solutions Corp. of Akron, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. This was reported on this evening. This is the first reading.
Are there any questions from council on this resolution?
Okay, we'll move for suspension on this.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Clark and seconded by Mr. Schweizer to suspend the rules. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sneed? Yes. Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Swayzer?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Phillips and seconded by Mr. Clark to adopt the resolution. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Swayzer?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Mrs. Sneed? Yes. Resolution is adopted.
Mrs. Knight, we'll move on to ordinances now, and please read ordinance 06, 2014.
Ordinance number 06, 2014. Ordinance authorizing changes for the 2014 Troy Strawberry Festival and authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio, to enter into an agreement therefore. Part of the agreement includes that the Troy Strawberry Festival would pay the city for our expenses over $51,000, currently estimated to be a $20,000 expenditure, and the dual location. This is the second reading.
Are there any questions or discussion from council on the ordinance?
Move to suspend.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Phillips and seconded by Mr. Schweizer, or I'm sorry, Mr. Tremblay, to suspend the rules. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Swayzer?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes. Move to adopt.
I'll second that with the hope that all of the recommendations from the clubs and orgs will be taken into consideration, by the committee chair and the city staff on the logistics of all of these items.
It's been moved by Mr. Schweizer and seconded by Mr. Phillips to adopt the ordinance. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Clark?
No.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Swayzer?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
No.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted.
Mrs. Knight, please read ordinance 07, 2014.
Ordinance number 07, 2014. Ordinance amending ordinance number 028, 2013, appropriating funds necessary for the various departments and offices of the city of Troy, Ohio for the year 2014. This is the first routine reappropriation. The only fund being reappropriated is the Small Business Development Revolving Loan Fund, in that with action at a prior council meeting, the entire appropriation was loaned out. This is the first reading.
Are there any questions from council on the ordinance?
Move for suspension.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Clark and seconded by Mr. Kendall to suspend the rules. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Swayzer?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Kendall and seconded by Mr. Schweizer to adopt the ordinance. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Swayzer?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
That completes the business portion of tonight's meeting. Mrs. Knight, are there any communications or announcements?
Just a reminder about filing financial disclosure statements, that's all.
Thank you. Mayor Beamish, do you have any comments this evening?
No, I think I made my comments with the acceptance of State Representative Adams' resolution that he shared with all of us. And he generated that, I will tell you that. That was his wish to do for all of us, and he chose to present that to council and our citizens. So I thank you to him for that initiative. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Titterington, any comments this evening?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only announcement, as it's stated in your items of interest, city offices are closed on February 17th for President's Day. There is no delay on trash and recycling pickup. That will be on the normal, regular schedule. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Livingston, any comments this evening?
Nothing this evening, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Stickle, any comments this evening?
I have no comments, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Our next council meeting will be Tuesday, February 18th at 7 p.m. due to the President's Day holiday. To let everyone know that. Are there any comments from council members this evening? Seeing none then, any comments from city staff this evening? Anyone else in the audience have any comments? Thank you all for attending tonight's meeting. Have a safe and peace-filled week. Meeting adjourned.